we move on to our next leader from the education space, who would be Professor Prem Vrat, Pro Chancellor, Professor of Eminence, and Chief Mentor, the Northcap University. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just to take you, sir, we are on the third day of APAC Digital Empowerment Meet and Awards, and day one was focused on governance, and day two was on health, and today it is dedicated to the education space. We had policy mission leaders from across the country have joined us, sharing their views and how their institution is working towards a new age of learning. And we would like to hear from you how your institution or your university is going with this vision of modernizing to a digital first institution. Over to you, sir.
Okay. Now, actually, my university had the advantage that for almost more than 10 years, we were focusing on digitalization of the campus. So much so that we were almost 100% e-governed campus even earlier before the pandemic. And therefore, it was easy for us to switch over to complete online education immediately. 16th March 2020, when the pandemic was declared, we switched over to 100% online education, and it has been working. It has kept us on track. Our academic calendar is on track. All the semesters are on track. The examination has been an issue for which we are tied up with an AI proctored service provider who has facilitated our midterm and major examinations being conducted through A-line proctored as well as faculty proctored examination system. And to that extent, IT-enabled these technologies have seen us through the pandemic by keeping our academic schedule on place. However, as I was mentioning to someone that online or a combination of online offline teaching in a standalone are no longer relevant paradigm in education. It's a blended learning, which is already the policy makers of this country have already defined the upper limit of online education as 40%. So up to 40% of the course content can be online. And in my university, we are already working towards that. We have accepted that 40% online courses can be delivered. These can be delivered from a variety of sources, including a number of courses given by AICT on its portal, SWAYAM and others, as well other MOOCs courses. Many of my faculty members have, for their own improvement, have taken standalone courses from Coursera and got them through certification program. So we have all the parameters in place, and now there's a major focus on investing in modernizing our IT infrastructure to make our education fully supported by digitalization. And to that extent, we are doing, for example, only yesterday we have completed a 5-day faculty development workshop at the institute in developing towards digital first university, the theme of your presentation. We have undertaken 5 days faculty development workshop because we have to train our faculty, and we are doing that. And to that extent, we are on the right path, but there are gray areas that need to be addressed in order to get respectability to this. First, of course, it has to be understood that although even you call it digital first, if I took it right, digital first education, and in my university also faculty development program called it digital first education, transformation from a teacher to designer. That's the sub-theme that they had. But I believe that digital first perhaps should be the education first. All said and done, digital would only be a means of education and not the end result by itself. And as a means of education, it's superb. It's great facilitating. It enhances academic productivity. It facilitates collaboration, and to that extent, it's a wonderful facility. But it's to be seen as a facilitator and not a replacement of a teacher, because it's now increasingly recognized. Two major issues that we are noticing. Our students are very keen to come to the campus, and there's almost a fatigue of online education. Secondly, we need to seriously, now we have 1.5 years of experience in giving 100% online education. We need to seriously evaluate its implications in terms of quality and employability. And to what extent, and the third most important point for which we need to perhaps be convinced is the credibility of the examination system that we hold on completely online. And that's why perhaps a combination of online, offline, because now it's increasingly being recognized that a physical co-presence, which is extremely important for teaching learning process to be nurtured, is being taken out of education toolkit. Therefore, perhaps once the good days come, online education will definitely have a role and nobody can take it away ever. That's a major transformational mindset change that has taken place. But it needs to be blended in an appropriate mix. And the virtues of physical co-presence in the classroom, particularly for practical courses, for project-based learning, and the other co-curricular activities, the students' presence on campus is vital because they learn as much outside the classroom as within the classroom by way of quizzes, competitions, cultural events, organizing a conference, and all that they're missing for the moment. The second important issue on which we need to really find a foolproof answer is that despite artificial intelligence proctored examination, I'm not really sure whether examination system online is foolproof. Because since I teach and I evaluate examination, I've evaluated examination students recently. Because AI, when you only check the eye movement and look at the movement of eye, this fellow was looking from this second to this second towards left, right, up and down. Our students are very smart enough to hoodwink any system. And therefore, perhaps we need to restore the credibility of examination system conducted online. And if it becomes inevitable, which it would be when 40% of education will be online, what it calls for a fundamental revisit the way we design question paper, where every question paper is unique to the student. And even if he knew the question, he cannot get the answer straight from Google and cut and paste. So the major challenge is in the design of the question paper. And it's possible, where almost every student is to be seen as a single unit for the purpose, and therefore the challenge is on the teachers in designing the question paper. Because conventional MCQ are relatively easier to evaluate but very easy to compromise with. And perhaps these are two issues that we need to address. Apart from that, perhaps a lot of revisiting of the faculty training, faculty up. And as I said, that we have 5 days program exclusively on the theme that you're talking about, on the digitalization first in education. But I would call it as education first enabled by digitalization, so that means do not become an end. The end is to nurture great quality outstanding students, facilitated by the enabling clause of the educational technology systems and processes. And therefore, formulating the focus of the role of education technology to enhance the quality and employability is of utmost importance, which every institution has to evolve a right policy towards that. And the role of faculty would be intensified rather minimized, because we might have fewer faculty, but we'll require outstanding people who could not only deliver lectures within their own premises, They're so good that the whole world would look towards listening to them, and then online would facilitate their reach to them. So if we look at online from that perspective, and we are working uh, uh, towards that game, and therefore, right now, as I was mentioning before this to someone, we are working seriously in enhancing our IT infrastructure, which is already good, but there's always room for improvement. And we are going for a major capital intensive outlay for upgrading the educational technology systems, uh, uh, which would facilitate, become more user friendly to enhance the student experience in the process, and still easier for a faculty member to use. And in my opinion, we are working very seriously in this direction. Sensitize our faculty. They're already almost already on this, and let's hope that things will. They're going in the right track. Except that the gaps that I mentioned needs to be filled in. The credibility of the examination conducted totally online, and the quality of uh, uh, education, particularly practical oriented courses, for which we might have virtual. See, virtual can never be real. One has to understand that.
Yeah.
So while virtual experimentation is done, artificial intelligence is great, it can't be replacement of real intelligence. Therefore, we need to work together, and the technology as an enabler, as a tool to enhance the productivity and effectiveness of a teacher for a great learning experience and learner experience. And if seen in that spirit, it's a great boon. And I for one see
Absolutely.
the role of education enormously in that spirit, so that teacher and technology have to coexist, and the technology has to have trust. We have to have a trust and confidence in the technology that this will not ditch us.
Absolutely. Right. Thank you very much, Professor Prem, for sharing those views, and we are happy that the approach of the Northcap University is education first, enabled by digitization. You are looking digital to the same time making the students future ready, industry ready. By applying these things,
Yeah,
you're improving the critical thinking
yeah,
and the management skills within the students, making them
yeah.
ready for the future. With this, we would like to give appreciation certificate on behalf of India Digital Empowerment Meet and Awards. The certificate is proudly presented to Professor Prem Vrat, who is Pro Chancellor, Professor of Eminence, and Chief Mentor with the Northcap University for his dedicated efforts and exemplary work in the work education space. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you.